All right, so we still have a couple of issues with this gold ore. When we last came in, you could see that when the player comes over here and he touches it, then his gold ore does go up by 1, and the transparency sets to 1, so he disappears. But the player still can push against it, right? The player can still not be able to swim through it. So it kind of messes with the illusion that the gold ore is being collected. Okay. But luckily, what we have when we click on gold ores, we have a property here called can collide. Okay. And if can collide, if there's a checkbox here on the property, that means it's a Boolean value. So it's either set to false or true. And when it's clicked, it means true. Okay. And if it's unchecked, that means it's false. And so can collide, if it's set to true, then that means the player can't go through it, right? It's like a physical part. But if can collide is set to false, that means the player can go through it, right? So what we want to do is when the rock is touched, yes, of course, we do want the player value to go up, the gold ore value to go up by 1, and we want the transparency to be set to 1, right? But we also want the rock to be able to swim, through it, right? So we could say gold dot can collide is equal to false. Test that, see if it works. And in Roblox, I'm not sure if you're aware, but every change you make, you want to test it. Okay, you don't want to make too many different changes at the same time and not test it, or else you'll be left with buggy code that when you won't know what's wrong with it. Okay, so you want to test every single little part before moving forward. So let's come over here, and he's able to swim through it. Okay, one more thing that will add to the illusion is if a sound plays, all right, when you collect it, like a collection sound, like Mario collecting a coin. And so how do we do that? Well, let's come over here and go to create in Roblox Studio, roblox.com. Click on the create button. It'll take you to here, and we'll go to library, and then we'll go to audio, and we'll look for a collection sound. So we'll say collect. And then on your side, you should be able to press the play button and it'll play the sound. But for some reason on my computer, it just does not want to play the sound. Okay, so I'm not going to save you the trouble. If it doesn't play on your side and you do want to use the coin collect, like let's say this one here, you go ahead and click on it, and then we grab the code here, and then we come into our game. We're going to have quite a few sounds in our game, okay? So what we want to do is create a sound folder in our workspace where all of our sounds are going to be stored, okay? So let's go ahead and right-click our workspace, say Insert Object, and let's say Folder. The folder, let's go ahead and call it Sounds. In the Sounds folder, let's right-click, Insert Object, and let's do a Sound Object, which is up here. Click on the sound object, scroll down to the sound ID, copy and paste the one that you got from roblox.com, and then we can hit the play button. Okay, so that sound is kind of weak. Let me see if I have a better one. Give me 1 second. Okay, so this is a different one. Let's see if it's better. Okay, so it's still kind of weak, right? But luckily what we can do is set the volume to be higher. Okay, so that sounds better. And I think that's about it, right? But you could also set other things like the playback speed, right? If you set it to 0.5, then it will play slowly. Right, if you set it to 2, it'll play really fast. Right? So let's do 0.5. I actually like that sound. Okay, so now we want to play it in our gold script. So we come over here, and this might be familiar to you because you did this in the simple lobby, but we're going to say sound is equal to game.workspace dot sounds dot and let's call this collect gold. So here we need to rename our sound to collect gold sound. Okay. Yeah, maybe I can erase the sound part. So collect gold, and then right here, if it's collected, then I'm going to play that sound. So I'll say sound colon play 2 parentheses and test that, see if it works. Okay, so let's run over to the gold. There we go. Right. So there we go. The sound plays. Now, another thing that we want is we want that gold to come back. Okay, but not so that the player can just wait here and wait for that gold to come back and then he can collect it again, right? We want it to be like, okay, you collected it, and the illusion is that you collected it and it's not going to come back for a long time. Okay, so you got to go like back into town, you need to sell your gold ore, and then you need to come back here, and then yeah, possibly that gold ore will be coming back because the illusion is that the gold ore is coming from this stream here, right? This waterfall, and it's feeding this pond area. So one way we can create that illusion is we can come back into our gold script, and after we play that sound, we can wait for a while. Okay, and the wait takes seconds. So I'm going to wait, let's say 3 minutes. Okay, that's 180 seconds. That's enough time for the player to have to go back to the town and come back out here. So let's wait for 3 minutes. And then what are we going to do? We're going to set all of these back to what they were. Okay. So I'm going to set my transparency back to 0. I'm going to set the golds can collide back to true. And I'm going to set the debounce back to true. Okay, so this is effectively making the gold reappear and setting it back to its starting values so that it could be collected again. All right. Okay, so I think that's good. Maybe we can test this by putting in 5 seconds here and seeing if we can recollect it, and then we'll come back and change it to 180. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then he comes back. Okay, and then let's collect them again. All right, so it does work, right? And then there's one last thing that I want to do before we end this, is that if the player, actually, let's go ahead and save that for the next video. But yeah, so let's stop here.